Dramatic. I wonder what that theme song is. Is it Mask Off by Future, or is it
probably Mask Off,
or something just old school? I don't know. Welcome. I mean, okay, outfits.
Yeah, you know, I decided not to wear workout clothes.
I love it. That's like, I need someone to dress me so that I just feel like
I think you
swagged out. I just do, at leisure and stuff like that. So, welcome to Unmasked.
Thank you.
Where we just record the conversation that we always have anyway.
Yes. Happy to be here.
Our big premise here is that we walk around with these masks on, and consistently, my thought is that even when we take the physical mask off, we still have emotional, figurative, and these blocking mental masks that need to come off. So hopefully through some conversation and stuff, we get a little more authentic and talk and stuff like that.
Into it more.
A little into the nitty gritty.
Yes.
So I had a few topics, and we were laughing about the first one.
Yes.
Black.
Just black.
Just black. Just black. It's interesting because like we're in this post BLM, post I won't say post racial because that sounds like it's not whatever. But we're in a time where like I've never seen in my life where people talk about race. You know, like being a 80s baby, it was like we're all clear. Everyone's clear. Don't you dare even mention that someone's different, right? And that was what people were talking about. So, I don't know, what have you seen through that, or like how's that?
Yeah, I feel like right now it's popular to be black, honestly. Like
we made it.
Yeah, I feel like it's cool. You know, it's cool with the lighter things, of course.
Yeah.
Right? But I feel like it's cool, and I feel like because it's cool, it's giving like black people the space to kind of like celebrate us more publicly and stuff. So that's the beautiful side of it.
Yeah.
There's like this meme going around that's like, I feel like I'm part of a secret club called being black. And it's cool or something. So yeah, I like all the pride.
How does that juxtapose, I guess, to like before the last years of like, or like what conversations would you have maybe in spaces or mixed spaces now that you wouldn't have before?
Right. I feel like now in mixed spaces, people are a little bit more conscious and like less afraid to talk about racial things, even if it's like surface level. Before, I feel like it would just be avoided.
Yeah.
Like we can feel it's avoided, they're trying to avoid it, and then now there's an elephant in the room. So now like it's a baby medium elephant.
A medium elephant? Not a big elephant?
Not a like full-size elephant.
A teenage adolescent elephant in the room?
Yes.
No, that's cool. I see the same thing. Like I feel like even with myself, because that's what I always try to think about what I can control. I can't control how other people react.
Right.
But with myself, I feel like I feel the ability to show up all the way me more,
right,
without necessarily having to do all of the explanation.
Right.
Like not that before I couldn't do it, but like before there might have been like, well, what is that, or why that song, or this type of stuff. Versus now it's just like, okay, we'll go Google and try to do the work or whatever. So
I feel that. I feel like I haven't been in many spaces, I feel like, where like I was the only black in a few years. Like I grew up like that. In my graduating class, it was me and 3 other black people.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was how I grew up.
Albany, New York, right?
Yeah, Albany, New York.
Because you probably tell people New York, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, you from Albany?"
Yeah, I'd be like, "I'm from New York, guy. Don't ask me."
I was like,
"Don't ask me where." No.
What train?
Keep going. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So there is a black community in Albany, but
3 of y'all.
Well,
I'm not so sure.
I was kind of like in the outskirts a little bit, but the private school, I went to private school, and yes, it was just
another thing I didn't know. I'm learning so much.
Well, I went to 3 high schools actually, so there's that.
What was that like?
That taught me to become a chameleon, which well, to saving grace, because I'm very adaptable, but like you can lose yourself in that. Like I've been so many people. I feel like because every school I'm like, okay, who do I have to be here? All right, I can be like this. Next school, who do I have to be here? And then I feel like by the time I went to college, I collected this identity that I'm like, most people agree with this identity, so this is who I'm gonna like present.
So that is, we're gonna get into that. We're not gonna go past that. We're gonna dive right into that. So the idea of identity, what, or when was the moment when you knew? Because there had to be some epiphany or realization when you're like, this isn't me. Like, when did that happen? Or when, because before you're walking in these different shoes, but you thought that was who you were.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like that continues to happen. To be honest, like every year I'm like, okay, this is me more than it was last year.
Yeah.
You know, but I think right now this is the most me because it's the most I've ever been. You know what I'm saying? So, but I feel like in college I went to Howard, and it was the first time in my life I wasn't like the only black person. We were all black, and I feel like that created the space for me to figure out more who I am. And I always had this, like, I always had like this split in my life because my family was very pro-black, and like they named me Nazinga after a queen of Angola, Africa, and like on Sunday it was Black History Sunday, and I only had black dolls also.
Oh, really?
Yes, and we just like loved being black. We just like celebrated our culture. But then when I left the house, everything we celebrated in the house, I got made fun of for it, or it was like rejected. So I was like, man, I'm two different people, you know?
It's kind of like being black in America.
Yeah, exactly.
Like in the house, you can do whatever, but when you show up at your shop or whatever, it's not always celebrated or whatever. Right.
But going to Howard was definitely helpful.
So what was that? Did your parents go to HBCUs also?
No, they didn't. They went to Syracuse, and since I was 2, they told me I'm going to HBCU.
Oh, really?
Yes. And they would tell everybody, Nazinga, tell them where you're going. Like, I can't even spell the word. and you want me to tell them? But yeah, that's just...
Do you think because they had bad experiences there, or they just wanted to make sure because how your upbringing was or whatever, like that you got that?
I think they experienced a lot of racism through the administration there. And they were like, if you go to HBCU, you won't have to go through that. I think that was their mindset. They both have like all these stories, and I think they're trying to prevent that.
See, I had the opposite. Both my parents went to HBCUs.
Really?
And didn't push me to go to HBCU at all.
Oh, honestly, I could see, you know.
Which is like weird because, but being older, I'm always like, why didn't they? Like I always grew up in very like I went to the most mixed schools, most mixed elementary, middle, high school, always in really diverse environments. And even when I went to look at schools, they never were like, look at like I didn't go to see Morehouse, I didn't go to see Bowie, even when my dad went. So like Howard, I live in Baltimore, we drove right by it. Right. You know, I went to all bigger PWI schools. You know.
That is interesting.
Which is weird, but because I grew up on those campuses. I grew up. My mom went to Morgan, my dad went to Bowie. I grew up on those campuses, so it's kind of weird. Got me reflecting. I'm gonna have to go see my therapist about this.
That's interesting. It's like parents, maybe they take the part of their experience that they didn't like. They're like, let me help my kid avoid this, and send them the opposite way or something.
It's like the grass always greener on the other side, I think.
Right.
So our parents are just people too.
Yeah, they people.
It takes time for us to realize that.
Yes. And then when you do, it smacked me in the face. Honestly, I was like, oh my gosh, they're not perfect. Like, oh my goodness, like. Everything they did wasn't right, you know?
They don't either.
Yeah.
They just figuring it out like we are.
Yep.
That is I like that tangent. That is I feel like a lot of people don't get that though.
What, the parent?
That your parents are just people. Literally, even your parents are older now, they're still trying to figure it out.
Right. Exactly.
I feel like life is like this thing is like
every day that we wake up, literally.
Just going and moving and trying to. I don't know what we're trying to do. I'm trying to be better than yesterday, I guess.
First, we're trying to figure out why are we here? Like, what? You know, what's the blueprint? Like, but.
What's your why?
My why, like.
Today, I guess.
My why today. My why today is. I want to support people in healing. I want to support Black people in healing. I feel like very passionate about that, and I feel like for generations and generations, we've only had the space to try to survive. Like, forget about like having a peaceful mind, or forget about like even trying to eat healthy, forget about all that. I'm trying to make it to the next day. And I feel like we're now getting to the generations where like some of us can like do more than survive, some of us can thrive and then help those who didn't thrive, like pull them with us, and then at least for the next generations, like start bringing some healing work so that like people can just live better. We don't have to be suffering like this. I feel very, very passionate about that. Yeah.
And we had a sound bowl slash therapy session, really. It felt like on Saturday, and that was kind of the premise of like what we talked about. What got you there? Because a lot of what I want to talk about also with you is like finding your purpose, because I feel like I've watched you grow up from like, I'm not that much older, but like I watched you when you were just a little girl, like walking down the street. But I felt like I saw you come into who you are and go even from like a space of like, I don't know what I want, to I think I know what I want, to laser, this is what the fuck I'm here for. And that's been really like gratifying, like almost like kind of scary, powerful, the way you walk in spaces now versus before. So like, what, I don't even know what the question is. Like, what did that, how is that happening, or what, go.
I feel like I feel like the root of it all has been this like insatiable yearning that I have to like just grow and like help myself. I think whatever I've gone through is for me to learn to help myself to heal, so that I can share what I did and maybe it can help somebody else. Like I feel like I attach my kind of like reason for existing to that, because it's like I don't think we're here, there's no way we're here just to work and like live for the weekends and then go back to a miserable job we're not happy with and be in miserable relationships and eat miserable food. Like we're not here for that. That can't be it, you know? And so like I had that thought in like 2015, and I sat down and I was like, okay, I gotta figure this life thing out, because this don't feel right. Like this feels not good. And so I think little by little, just through reading and then looking for other people who I'm like, are you asking the same questions I am? Because like I'm confused, and like maybe we can figure something out together. Just bringing the conversation, and then getting support. Like I spent 2020 I was like, well, it's a pandemic. All 12 months I was in some type of self-development program, because I was like, I'm going to study myself because I can. And when the pandemic's over, I need to be like I need to have experienced soul growth, like in an expedited way.
Soul growth.
Yes. Because like we had the time to, you know? Like it was stressful in a lot of things, but I was like, the least I can do is like pour into me so that I can like, I think we're all here to be of service. And in some way, in some form, we have to do our part to fill ourselves up so that we can like be of service like we're supposed to.
Why don't people do soul growth?
It feels nasty.
Does it have to? Does it feel nasty? I mean, it's growth. It should feel. I'm also doing a bunch of soul growth myself.
It feels being vulnerable with yourself in those like dark corners that have not been swept up in years since childhood.
I'm gonna need a sip on this one.
That can feel like death, because it kind of is.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I guess it's death to the old you.
But first, like, there's this quote, and it's like, I forgot who said the quote, but it's like, when you bury emotions, you bury them alive. They're still there. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're there, like, and that's when we get triggered and stuff. Yeah. So, I feel like I don't know where I'm going right now, but.
No, I mean, I'm here for all of it. No, I got it, because we had a conversation, I think 2 weeks ago, about like a lot of stuff that even I was talking about, like dealing with my mom. Like I went through some other stuff, like doing some soul growth, literally. And I felt like things just dropped out that I was carrying that. I didn't even know I was carrying, and I thought I'd been doing a bunch of soul growth. But I must have went to a PhD program because my master's wasn't enough. And your response was like, I felt lighter. Yeah. Which is, I don't know. I think as a healer, because that's what you do, and whether it's in fitness or Soundbath or whatever, like, how do we get people to take that first step, or what is even the first step for people to grow their soul, you know, or heal?
Yeah. The first step, I think, is like being honest with yourself and acceptance. Like, man, I do get jealous when this happens, or man, I am sad. Like, like not trying to be so strong, and like actually like sitting down with ourselves and being like, man, I need some help. Like, I think that we can tend to focus on the areas of our life that we are doing well in and prospering in, and have our emotions more controlled there. But then, like, because it just feels so uncomfortable to tap into like the part that we don't have control about. But if we can like sit in that discomfort, I think that that's the first like step. Honestly.
Should we sit by ourselves, or should we sit with a therapist?
However you want to sit. However, some people by themselves. For me, this was a lot of it's been by myself. For some people I know, therapists. For some people, it's just like friends. Like, or you could taste test. You can try. Like, we have to like experiment with ourselves. Man, I have to do something different. So maybe let me try by myself. That's not working. Let me get it there. You know, just like giving ourselves the time and energy and space to like try things with ourselves, get to know us. You know.
I like that comment of trying, because even I'm on therapist like number 4, right? And I remember like my first therapist, I was like, oh, therapy don't work. But it just wasn't one. But now I'm thinking back, I don't even know if I was even real enough to really. I was in there still trying to show up. Yeah. Kind of like, you know, you go to the dentist and they ask how much you floss, and you're like, oh, you know, like
yesterday,
every week, I missed one day. Like, how sad are you? I mean, a little bit. Right. And then you go home.
Right.
Yep. You can't deal with it. So I wonder again if it was me, or was that not the right therapist, or if I just had to like keep dancing around, or like, you know, is fitness my therapy, or whatever. I mean, whatever is like my space. But I've never heard the word soul growth like that, like the way you said it. And it's just like it resonated with me on like how we try to grow in every aspect, except for emotionally and soully, until we're broken. Right. Like most of the time we don't, like, we'll work out, we'll try to make all the money, we'll try to get all the degrees, and then not until like all of these things are at its pinnacle and you still fucked up. As you sit and you're like, oh, I guess I got some other stuff to work on. And I'm always trying to think that I don't have the answers. Definitely like a workshop. Like, how do we get people to start to try to equally grow these things, or see, honestly, more value in this than all the other stuff?
I feel like basically you described rock bottom. And I feel like rock bottom, you get to a point where it's like, this sounds dramatic, but it's like, either I'm gonna like sink or swim, you know? And sinking can look a lot of different ways, but like swimming is like, all right, I need to put energy into myself, you know? And I hate that sometimes that we have to hit rock bottom to reach that.
I did it.
I hate that it's like that, but I also think that rock bottom is a part of life. Like, we're not supposed to live our whole lives without hitting some type of like rock bottom. Like, it's not to hurt us. It's for us to be like, okay, I need to like do better in this area, or I need to shape up here. Like, one thing that's really helped me is me realizing like the negative emotions I have, or the triggers, they're not coming to hurt me. They're coming for me for a light bulb to go off and be like, hey, pay attention to this. Like, dig into this later. Hey, they're not coming for me to feel bad about myself. You know? And so like, I try to make friends with my negative emotions. Like, oh, you feeling jealous? What's up, girl? What? Why? Like, like talk to it. Like, instead of being like, oh, let me push that down. I shouldn't be feeling like that. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm feeling jealous. when we go home later, I'm gonna sit on that and figure out why, because it's not on the person, that's on me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's
I'm
crazy.
very like introspective.
I like that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think a lot of people are introspective enough, and especially like, I see it even more like a city culture where like we think the problem is always external.
Yeah.
And it could be either bought or there's something else. Like I see it in dating all the time. People are like, "It's no good man. It's no good man." It's not like, really? For you, it's none, nowhere. But it's harder to put that mirror in yourself. Like, why am I attracting this?
Right.
Why am I attracting this cycle of the same person or whatever? Like, what am I putting out there?
Right.
So with healing, I know you kind of done this transformation. I don't say transformation. I would just say expansion of services and stuff that you do. And I Saturday got to experience the Sound Bowl, which now I'm kind of mad at myself for not appreciating it earlier. But I didn't know. Honestly, I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
I thought it was just going to be like any other.
Guided meditation.
Yeah, like I've done the one where you breathe and like feel your toes, not feel your ankles, not feel your knees, not feel your hips. That does you feel better.
Right.
Like, yeah, I was like, not really. I'm thinking about my taxes. And I think that's what you said. That Sound Bowl meditation was the first time I ever felt what I thought meditation should feel like. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. How you got to it? How did you even find Sound Bowls?
Yeah, just fell in my lap, really.
Craigslist?
No, I did look on Craigslist, but so I'm glad that you enjoyed the Sound Bowls, and I really love sharing them with people, and I love even encouraging people to get their own. Like, you can play your own in this house, you know. I got into Soundbath because I was exploring meditation, and you know, the guided meditation, I kept like just losing focus, and I was like, let me just try something else. So there used to be 2 meditation centers in DC before COVID, and I would always go to them because I really like meditating in a group. Because I'm like, oh, I gotta really do this because this person next to me is doing it.
It's like
you know,
fitness,
right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's funny.
So I went to a sound bath one time, and I went into this like deep trance where I saw colors and I was like floating, and and I was like, what is this?
I saw colors. Remember I told you
when you
that?
said that, I was like, people see colors. Yes. It's crazy.
It's I can't. The only thing that could have been crazy if you had the Hawasana or something.
Oh.
I felt that was very good. The jungle.
I'm gonna throw some drums in there next time. No.
I'm here for it.
But it took me there, and then I did a few more. And then I would dabble in and out. But during COVID, I was like, I was doing it so much, I was like, let me get certified in this so that I can learn more information about this. And the guy the first Soundbath I ever went to, he was doing a cert class. So I was like, oh, this is supposed to be. Yeah. So I got certified with him. I really just wanted to like learn more. And then from there, I want to bring that as a tool to my community. I feel grateful to be able to show Black people, like, look, don't give up on meditation. Like, you can, there's different ways you can try this, you know. And I feel like the response is good. Like, I feel like people enjoy it. So, you know, Black people love music.
I mean, we're musical people. That's what they say. No, I loved it. It definitely, for me, meditation-wise, the sound took out a lot of the distracting thoughts. Yeah. It's like my first brain got to be absorbed by the sound, and then another layer of me was able to relax / I don't even know if relaxation is the word. Yeah. It's more like go deeper.
Yeah, because you were conscious though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it wasn't what I thought I was gonna get, which I always like situations like that. When I come for one thing, I just thought I was gonna lay down, you're gonna play some music, and I was gonna be like, oh yeah, so I gotta do this week. Preston gotta do this, I gotta write this SOP, cause my brain's on so many different things, and I was able to, my brain was able to quiet, and
that doesn't happen.
I never quiet my brain. So I almost felt like when I was leaving, I was like, I need a little bit more. What else? You got that sound bad, shout it. What a sound bad. I felt like people in Georgia having no fun. So I definitely like that, and it was also so powerful to be in a space with mostly people of color and black people there, and I was also glad that we had one white person come through too, because it made me feel like I'm making intentional spaces for our people, but also that our message is inclusive enough that everyone feels comfortable, which is what my whole like why we're here kind of thing period is. Period. City girls. Introspective. Balance. So I want to bleed into like something I know we kind of talked about before. You've been very intentional about creating healing and wellness spaces and improving the fitness and just overall holistic lifestyles of black women. I know we've had this conversation where I was like, oh, but it's all women. And now I'm kind of been like different lately. I've been like, and you've been I think also stronger about your intention. Why are you so intentional about black women's health and wellness?
I feel like, first of all, I can talk about this for days. But
recharging batteries up, y'all. Recharging batteries. We're gonna be here for a little bit. We got wine and other topics.
First of all, when I see black women, I see my family. I see my mom, my grandmother, all the strong black women in my family. And then in regards to health, I see my family's health issues, which really led me to get into like the health and fitness field. I see their health issues, and then so when I see black women, I'm just like, okay, I need to support them. I need them to know that these tools are out there. I don't think my family knew, or if they did, it just wasn't a priority. I need to help people know that we need to prioritize this so that we can live full lives. And so I feel like that is like my number one driving force. But like, just to get super deep for a second, this is how my mind goes, okay? But I believe I'm a soul. I'm a soul in a body. I believe I chose to come down to this earth as a black woman, to represent black women, to support black women. I believe I was named after an African queen on purpose. Like, I didn't choose my name, it like chose me, like came to my dad. I just feel like I grew up in a strong black household for a reason. I feel like I've been primed to support black people and black women. I feel like that's been my journey, and it would be doing myself and the Most High a disservice if I don't like align myself with what's clear. You know, I love all women, but my main focus is black women because I need to be what I needed. You know, I didn't grow up. I mean, I had my mom, and she always tried to put me in black programs in Albany. She was like, "You're the only black person in the class, but you don't know how to jump double dutch." Like,
is that the black programs in Albany, double dutch?
Yes. Listen, I would go to private school, and then after school, she would put me in these after school programs, honestly, in the hood. And I would get bullied. That's when the bullying really started. So like, that's a whole other thing. But just to go back to, my parents tried their best to like help me have pride in being black and stuff. And I feel like that's for a reason. I do have pride. Let me build that up for myself and share that. And I want other people to have pride. You know, like being a dark-skinned woman in these streets, it could be a lot. I feel like I'm grateful that my skin was so praised in my household, but I know many black women where their skin was not. And I feel for them, and I want them to know that, like, you're beautiful. Like, for real, know it and feel it, so
especially in a space in the world where you're not always getting these external things. You have to be able to build it in internally. Have to
be able to.
So I know you mentioned a little bit about bullying, and I know that was part of your journey a little bit. I just want to open up, talk a little bit about that, or like how. I think my biggest thing about it is I don't want to like take you back to like you being picked on and stuff like that, but how does those traumas or things like bullying from childhood affect us and how we walk in our truth as adults?
Yeah, it impacts you a lot, I would say, without you even knowing it. I feel like, I just remember being super young and just receiving so much love from my parents. I thought everybody in the world was like that. And
You're wrong.
They kept trying to tell me no, like mayday.
We love you.
Yeah,
them motherfuckers don't love you.
Yeah, they really tried, like, and I just didn't understand. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, you guys love me, they're gonna love me, I love them. But that took me like years to actually like sit with, years of like getting my feelings hurt by peers, to be like, oh shoot, okay. Like, I see what you're saying now. Like, I feel like honestly bullying has been a part of my journey on purpose. Like, it started in kindergarten, and then first grade, like, I didn't have any friends. First grade was bad, and then second grade to sixth grade, I was kind of stable, but then as soon as seventh grade hit, like middle school, my parents put me in a public school for the first time. And I felt like I was fresh meat. They were like, this girl not from around here, like, you know? And when I went there...
Your plaid skirt on,
yes,
walking in, hi!
Listen, they're like, I quickly tried to fit in, but I feel like I needed to, like, learn how to stand up for myself. And in some regard I did, because of the bullying. Middle school was the worst. But also, what I mainly learned was how to play small and how to make myself small. Because, like, my main objective in middle school was to not be seen so I don't get jumped. So, if I'm small, nobody's gonna see me, I won't get jumped. It's like a survival strategy. And then I carried that on. It just started to look different as I got older. This person is my friend. They're not gonna be my friend if I shine, so let me make myself small and make sure they shine. And then it continued to look like that, and then in different ways. And so I feel like I really just started to realize this like just like 2 or 3 years ago. And it smacked me in the face. I was like, man, I thought I was being nice.
Yeah.
You know, like, I thought I was just being a nice person.
I mean, you made me just go through, I was like, where am I showing up small? Like, where am I doing that? Because I think as a healer or person who is about other people, it's easy to translate that in other aspects of your life also and put yourself back burner. So.
Yeah, absolutely. But I feel like I got to the point with much work, and I'm still working on it. Nobody wins when I make myself small. I don't win, other people don't win, and vice versa. Like, if someone else is making themselves small, I'm not winning, they're not winning. And I started to realize when I make myself small by like muting my voice, not showing like my gifts and stuff, especially with muting the voice and not holding people accountable, I am taking the opportunity away from that person to get a different perspective, for them to grow and be like, oh, I never thought about it that way. So then I call it toxic comfortability. Now we're both comfortable and it's toxic because like I'm muted and like you're loud and I don't want to make you uncomfortable and you're good with that, you know? And so I feel like when you really start to think about that, you start to be like, oh hell no. So I just,
now, how do you navigate that, or do you navigate that with your family? Do you ever have issues with that where like you keep them comfortable or keep yourself comfortable? It's like,
my family, I just tell them how I feel.
Really? To God bless you.
Yeah, we kind of like just have open communication. Like my dad's like my best friend, but he's a very strong-willed man, and I almost get a thrill. It's probably not healthy. I almost get a little thrill out of like always with respect, but like I will debate him if I don't think you're right. If I think your perspective is like toxic masculinity or something like that, we're gonna go head to head with respect, and it just turns into like a conversation. And after he's like, you want pancakes? And then I was like, and I appreciate that. He's like, this was a moment, and whether we agree or not, like, let's move on. So I'm grateful for that.
I love it. And he probably learns, but you know,
yes,
they can't.
And he
always
does come back sometimes. He's like, okay, I was thinking, and maybe like you're right.
You had to respect it. You be right sometimes, but I know this. All right, I love it. What mask in life have you worn, and how did you take them off, or what made you take them off?
I wore the mask of being a super nice person. Like I really used to like pride myself on that. Like I am nice. I'm so nice. You can smack me and I'll just walk away. You know, like, I'm serious. Like,
I'm so nice.
like,
Look how nice I am.
Look how nice I am. I won't hit back. I won't defend myself. You know, like. But what connected to that was like I enjoyed being the victim. I enjoyed being like, man, I'm so nice, and people just take advantage of me. Like, ugh, this is what happens when you're so nice. Like, I really used to say that, you know, and like be like, it's just part of being nice. Like, like be proud of it.
It's funny, but it's real.
Yeah, it really is.
We've been there.
And then when I started realizing, like, sure, it might be uncomfortable to like see your part in things, but like there's so much power in that. Like now if you're a victim, then like you're giving your power away. But if I empower myself and I see my part in things, I hold myself accountable. And now I'm powerful. Now I can choose to like respond differently. Now I can choose to react differently, you know? And so that mask had to go. But it still become a back sometimes, you know. I think it's a lifetime of work. Yeah. But I can recognize it like this. I'm like, Nazinga, you're doing it again, honey. Let's get together.
What was the biggest lesson you learned or been able to apply from you taking that mask off?
I feel like I've gained way more respect from people, and I feel like people get to see the real me. You know, I feel like people get to see the real me and like know my boundaries and be like, oh, this is Nazinga, okay. Like it makes me less resentful because now they're like, that's Nazinga, these are her boundaries. I'm gonna respect that and like, you know, or I'm not gonna respect it and now we're not gonna talk no more. But I feel like, yeah, just like whatever I just said. Mm-hmm.
No, I like that. It's interesting because we think by hiding ourselves that we're doing, you mentioned this earlier,
yeah.
We're doing people a favor, we're doing the world a favor.
Right.
But one of my favorite quotes is that the world needs you to show up whole, right? Because for you to save the people you need to save, for you to connect with the people you need to connect with, to do your mission or your journey, you gotta show up big. So it's that thought, we're like, hey, you're really not helping anybody by coming 20% or whatever. You gotta go bigger.
Yep.
I love that. I could talk for a lot on that too. Especially, I just remember like, I'll go back to my first job out of college. I worked at Bowie State University and I was director of sports medicine there. And I was there for 5 years and I built little to no relationships. Which, if you know me now, you built no connection relationships, but they didn't see this G. I was in my khakis and my polo shirt. No one knew I was out of the closet. No one knew anything about me besides I went to work, did my work shit, and was very good about making everything about everyone else in a conversation. They say something, oh yeah, you know, G, what are you doing this weekend? You look so good.
It's a skill.
How's it? Like, and you get so good at it that I look back and I was like, I remember I was having this thought with myself. I was like, why don't I really have any relationships? Like, who can I even call for a reference? Like, who could I like connect with? Even though I did a really good job there. And I was like, oh, I only gave everybody 10% of who I was.
Right.
So how would I? And then I look back as a 37-year-old man, I'm like, oh, I had all this time where I was in a powerful position. I could have taught so many people about working with a gay man in a sports space, working with someone from, like, it was like so many lessons that could have been connected and taught and built relationships that because of my fear of like presenting that if I give all of me that I wouldn't be accepted. So it's just interesting when you say that. I like definitely resonate with that stuff.
Absolutely.
My last question, this is always like the money question, is what mask do you feel like you're wearing now that you're willing to like reveal or that you're trying to peel off? Like it's basically just like what are you working on now and like how are you working through that?
Yeah, I feel like a mask that I wear is that I don't care what people think. I really think people think that about me, and I do. I do care, you know? Like, literally, yesterday I got my nails done, and I was like, Nazinga, why are you here? And then I was like, because I want my clients to think my nails look nice when I'm like showing them exercises, you know? Like, I care, you know? And I don't think, it's not going to make me care less to deny that I care. I think I need to acknowledge that I care, and then figure out like, well, what do I lean on too much, you know, and just go from there, you know. And I feel like that's something I'm working on, and I feel like I care way less than I have in the past. But I personally want to get to the point where I just really don't care. Can I curse?
Yeah, you curse.
Oh, fuck. Okay, like fully, because it just holds me back so much. Like my whole life I've wanted to sing, and I've always been like, oh, nobody's gonna think I'm good. I'm so bad. Nobody's gonna think I'm good. I want to sing. If nobody thinks I'm good, I think I'm good. Yeah. Like that just needs to be my energy, like all around with everything. Like I want to shave half my head. I don't care if anybody doesn't like it. Yeah. This is like what, you know?
Just do it because you want to do it.
Yeah, and I think that's a muscle to practice. So I have to like do things that I'm like, this is uncomfortable. All right, let me just do it. And then not even wait for people's reaction because it's not about them. Mm-hmm. Like do it and then just like live my life, you know? So, but I accept, any mask that I have, I want to be able to just like say it, you know? And because I don't want to hide anything from myself. And I feel like when we keep things within and we don't actually say things out loud, even just to ourselves, it can be us hiding it. I just want to say it. Like, I care what people think, and I'm Nazinga.
I love that. I love that. Well, I appreciate you coming on the Unmasked blog, podcast, vlog, YouTube, whatever, and sharing your story. I think a lot of people connected with that. I know I learned some lessons. I'm about to go in my journal and start getting some stuff done. And I think the biggest thing I kind of overarching, I think, learn from what you're talking about is like approaching whatever it is, like whether it's your mask. Yeah. Approach what it is, or your negative thoughts. That was like sets in my head where like, because I'm a person like that. It's like, oh, this is a bad thing. Yeah. Put it over here. Right. Versus like, no, hey girl.
Right. What you doing here?
What you doing over here? What we talking about? What we doing? You know. So I think that's a huge thing that people don't connect with. So.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.